Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. New information tonight on a story we first brought you yesterday at 6. 38-year-old Brandon Scott is accused of making a bomb threat on an Alaska Airlines flight that was bound for Seattle yesterday. That threat led to the plane being diverted to Spokane.
KREM 2 obtained audio from the cockpit the moment the pilots learned Scott allegedly made that threat 30,000 feet in the air. Now, for transparency, we have cleaned up the audio a bit so you can hear it better. Take a listen.
So Scott appeared in federal court today to face a felony charge of false information and hoaxes. KREM 2's Janelle Finch was in the courtroom and tells us now what she's learned and the consequences the suspect could face. Janelle?
Mark and Whitney, one of the biggest questions these court documents answer is why Scott made the threat in the first place. Well, he told investigators that he was afraid to land in Seattle because he claimed the cartel was waiting for him there. Court documents say after taking off around 3:30 p.m. Wednesday from Atlanta to Seattle, 38-year-old Brandon Scott handed a flight attendant a note. In that note, Scott claimed he had a bomb, and if the plane lands in Seattle, he would kill everyone on board. He demanded the plane be diverted to another airport, which is how Alaska Airlines Flight 334 ended up at the Spokane International Airport. Passenger Dave Chevette says he was on board with his two sons.
We were coming home from a vacation with the grandparents.
Chevette says he thought the plane was diverted for a medical emergency. He later realized things were much more serious.
I didn't really start feeling nervous until we got off of the plane and there was a police officer who was guiding us to some shuttles to take us to the airport fire station.
Documents say authorities detained the suspect and searched the plane. The Spokane bomb squad didn't find any explosives. Documents say Scott admitted his claims were false and he did not place any bombs on the plane. The court says he told law enforcement members of the cartel were waiting to harm and kill him in Seattle. Thursday afternoon, Scott went before a federal judge in a yellow jumpsuit. Here he faced one count of false information and hoaxes. If Scott is found guilty, he could spend up to 5 years in jail and receive a $250,000 fine. His next court appearance is scheduled for July 19th. I also spoke to a criminal justice expert with knowledge on FBI investigations. He told me that mental health is going to play a large part in determining the magnitude of future consequences. He says the FBI should come to a determination on Scott's mental health in just a few days. Live from the Spokane Federal Courthouse, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
In an exclusive KREM 2 interview, we are hearing from a passenger on that Alaska flight. Kaylina Torres describes the tense moments that she and her fellow passengers exited the plane after that bomb threat was made mid-air and it forced the emergency landing in Spokane.
We're hearing the announcement that there's a mechanical issue and we're going to do an emergency landing in Spokane. They had told us we're going to land. Don't worry about all the cops and fire trucks. That's just protocol when we announce an emergency landing.
But there was no mechanical issue. Next thing Torres knew, police escorted the man off the plane in handcuffs. Once the suspect was in custody, passengers were brought to the fire station nearby where they stayed for several hours. We'll have her full story coming up on KREM 2 News at 6 tonight. In other news, a man is dead after crashing his plane in St. Mary's, Idaho.
KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy has been in St. Mary's all afternoon. She's here now to explain what we know about what happened.
This is the St. Mary's Airport behind me here, where the Benewah County Sheriff's Office says that plane took off shortly before crashing into a nearby field. The 70-year-old pilot did not survive after crashing into the hayfield less than half a mile from the airport. Valerie Sutherland represents airplane owners and pilots in St. Mary's and says there were immediate signs of trouble after takeoff.
Oh, an eyewitness said they noticed smoke coming off of the engine, and a family member has told the sheriff's department that the pilot did announce engine failure before he crashed.
Sutherland says the pilot was from the Seattle area and was in town visiting family.
Also, unfortunately, he just turned 70 yesterday, and he's from the Seattle area, and he was visiting family for the holidays and celebrating his birthday.
The FAA and NTSB are taking over this investigation. We are expecting an update later tonight. Right now, officials are not releasing that pilot's name to protect his family's privacy, though I have been told next of kin has been notified. In St. Mary's, Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
The Grant County Sheriff's Office had to detain a man for making threats near the Gorge Campground this morning.
This comes as the campground is officially reopened for the first time in the wake of the mass shooting in June that killed 2 people and injured 2 others. According to the Sheriff's Office, Live Nation Security discovered the man inside the campground as they prepared to open this morning. He was removed and walked south, they said, and as he passed the gates at the campground, he was overheard talking about explosives. Law enforcement believes the man was a transient from Oregon and did not pose a credible threat.
However, the Gorge Amphitheater and campground will be reopening for the first time this weekend since that shooting. We spoke with the Sheriff's Office about security there, and that story is coming up here in about 10 minutes.
All right, taking a quick break from the headlines to talk about weather. Another hot day with temperatures near 90 degrees, and we are still dealing with some of those hazy conditions today.
Yes, we are. And we want to send it over to our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Legoo, who says that haze is going to be slowly working its way out of our area, right?
Slow, steady. I think we deal with it just a little bit longer, but slow, steady is the name of the game when it comes to getting rid of some of that haze. Good news is not really impacting the air quality. Better news, well, it's still hot. It's summer after all. We've got some serious heat in the days to come, but overall, it looks like our air quality doesn't suffer too much. We sit at 44 right now and likely stay good through the rest of the night. Tomorrow is when we likely start dipping into that moderate range. Overall, it's a northerly or northwesterly flow that's bringing us some of that wildfire smoke from our neighbors off to the north. Thanks, Canada. But eventually we wind up getting rid of it. Right now, a few isolated storms, some of those just off to the north. We're seeing a few of those kind of make their way out of the mountains near Tooele, making their way over toward Ione and then down toward Newport. You'll likely see a little bit, but not much of that even makes it out of the mountains. Instead, it's scattered storms tapering off, and tomorrow afternoon, another round of kind of isolated storms before we head into a much calmer weather pattern, believe it or not. And that comes with a lot more sun and a lot more heat. Tomorrow, 92, Saturday, 94, Sunday, 96 degrees.